Hello everyone, this is Chloe or DeimosThea or Day, whichever you prefer, and welcome to an actual video on my channel. This is a totally new thing. I've never uploaded a video that's related to gaming before. This is so new, so crazy. However, I wanted to do so because in my recent stream, I was playing WoW and someone asked me about my UI and, you know, if I had a guide or a setup for how I made it. And I've been complimented in the past about my UI before. It has undergone a few changes over the years, but as you can see from this, you know, it's really simple. It's nothing crazy, but it does the job. Obviously, this is not a groundbreaking video. I think there's a bunch of UI setup videos, you know, out there. So if you already know what you're doing with your UI, you do you. I think UI is a super personal thing. Whatever you need it for and however you play the game, really, I mean, that's going to totally change how your UI, how it looks and what you need from it. And so, you know, keep that in mind that this UI might not work for you and it might not, you know, serve you the best. But for me, this has really been what I've been using from about Legion, give or take, with a few changes here and there. So yeah, I'm going to show you how to set it up. Obviously, this is already set up, so we don't need to, you know, stay on this character, but I will show you how to do it right now. Alrighty, so we're going to set up this character today. For your reference, the add-ons that you will need in order to set up your UI to look like mine are Bartender 4, which is like, this is very important. You must download this add-on. It has saved my life. I love it so much. You also need MASQUE, which is down here, MASQUE. This is like a reskinning add-on. I just use it together with Bartender 4 to make it look extra nice. Some people do some really crazy things with MASQUE. They make everything look so unique and so individual. I tend to keep it quite simple, but really there's quite a few possibilities out there with what you can do with MASQUE, so I highly recommend checking those out. The other thing you're going to need is you are absolutely going to need quartz. I just find this a more customizable and generally overall better cast bar versus the basic cast bar. I just like using quartz personally. Overall, the rest is kind of up to you. You know, if you want a plates add-on, a tooltip add-on, anything like that. I mean, that's super personal, but for your reference, I use tidy plates for my nameplates. I use tip tack for my tooltip, and I use weak auras as well, which I will show you a quick demo on how to set up my interrupt weak auras if you need those as well. So yeah, let's get started. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to click on your player frame and you're going to unlock it. I tend to bring it to around here. It really is a bit of an estimate every time, but yeah, it doesn't really matter so much as long as you're happy with where it is and you don't have to kind of strain your eyes too far from your casting and your kind of general area of combat. You want to be able to see your health bar, which you know, it makes sense. You want to be able to see what you're doing. The next thing you're going to do is obviously you're just going to drag down your target frame to be just next to it. Yeah, something like that. Try to line them up as best as you can. And yeah. So then what you're going to do is you are going to start off with your bartender frames. So the way that you access bartender, or the easiest way, is to type /BT in your chat, and that should open up this window, the Bartender 4 window. First and foremost, what I do is I disable the frames that I don't want. And that's something that, again, is going to be personal, but for the sake of this video, we're going to get rid of the Blizzard art bar. I prefer keeping it simple, like I said. We're going to get rid of the micro menu, which is this menu down here. In the past, I did actually have the micro menu on my screen and I would like move it up here. That is also an option. I think it looks pretty good up there, but I also just know all of the keybinds and don't need them. So I tend to just hide it now. Same thing with the bag bar. I have Bagnon and that opens everything up on one tab anyway with all of your bags options like here. So I again, don't feel the need to have the bag bar. And the rest is kind of what we're going to play with now. So I also tend to move my status tracking bar, which is, for your reference, an experience bar, or if you're tracking rep, that is also your status bar. What I tend to do with that is I tend to, by the way, when everything goes green, that basically means that everything is movable. And in order to change that, it's just this top left button, just unlocking and locking. Anyways, so yeah, status tracking bar. What I tend to like to do with it, I know some people put it up on, you know, the top, and I think it looks great there. With my characters who are already max level, I don't really want a massive status bar for, like, you know, tracking rep. So for that situation, I actually drag it underneath my chat, as you can see here, and I just scale it down to the size of my chat, which is about 0.5. And I just put it under my chat like this. I just think it keeps things really simple and out of the way. But obviously, if I was leveling a character like I am with this one, I would probably be tempted to keep it up here so I can see a little bit better how my progress is doing. But yeah, totally up to you which of those two options you go for. The next thing that you're going to do is, I don't like using, what are these, vertical bars? I'm not a huge fan of vertical bars. I think they're kind of ugly. Not really my thing. And obviously you can, like, if you wanted to use 1, 2, and 3 as like your bar options, as you can see, I have here, this is bar number 1. This is bar number 6, bar number 5. I tend to use these because they're already horizontal, but if you wanted to use bar 3 or bar 4, you could still do that. You would just have to, instead of having it be done in rows, you'd have to like drag this. So you can just change things from horizontal to vertical. So for the sake of today's video, I'm going to set them all up on bar 1, 2, and 3, so that if you are someone who's like, you know, that's something that you want things to be in order like that, then, you know, we're just going to set it up like that so that you can, you know, feel like it maybe works better for you. Bar number 2 is, for some reason, auto disable. I don't know. Bar 6 we're going to get rid of as well. So then we're going to be left with 3 bars. This is, again, going to depend a little bit on your class that you're playing as to how many bars you need and how many buttons on each bar. But that's all customizable from within the add-on, so, you know, that's fine. So we're going to put bar 1 on top. I also keep it fairly low to the bottom of the screen, but I don't put it all the way on the bottom. Now you're going to see they're all different sizes. They're all like a bit of a mess. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to bar number 1, and we're going to turn the padding a little bit lower. As you can see, the padding is basically the gaps in between these ability bars. I like them to be a little closer together than that. So I'm going to just turn the padding down a little bit, probably to about 3. That looks good to me. Again, this is going to totally depend on your own personal preference with this, but yeah, you can also change the alpha. I tend to keep mine on 100% just so everything's easier to see, but you know, if you want a bit more of a faded option, then that is available to you too. I kind of just keep my scale the same as well. I'm not really a huge fan of kind of changing the scale. I mean, I think if I was going to do anything, which I think I have in the past, I have actually made them to kind of 0.9, which actually I believe might be what I have with my priest at the moment. So yeah, 0.9 and 1 I think are good scales for this. And then I kind of just keep all of the buttons. I'm going to keep this at 1 for the sake of the video again today. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just copy exactly the same settings onto these. So I'm going to put this to 3. And it's refusing to go to 3. That's fun. There we go. I also have bar snapping turned on at this current moment, which basically is if your bar is going to like snap into place in the center or anything like that. If you need to make fine tunes, you can just turn this off and then everything will like move to exactly where you drop it. It's kind of easier to use bar snapping for like just like setting things up really quickly. But if you want to do it precisely, it's better without it. Okay, and then the last thing we're gonna do is just do the last bar. It's, as you, like, this is honestly, it's so easy. Also, just when you're setting them up, make sure there's no like white or gap in between the green kind of guidelines or boundaries or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, cool. If you want to have your pet bar, sometimes I kind of tend to put it like up here somewhere, but again, that's really up to you. And if I am going to use my pet bar, I'm going to turn it and make it a bit smaller because I think it's just, yeah, it doesn't need to be that big. I don't know. I don't want it to be taking up so much room. But yeah, that's cool. All done. Extra action bar. I tend, again, to turn this a little bit smaller and just keep it kind of to my right so I can click it on and off when needed. And that is that. So then as far as keybinds go, you're going to want to click the key bindings button. Really, really simple. Key bindings, once again, are a very personal thing. So really do with that whatever you want. But for a kind of general guideline, I tend to put 1, 2, 3, or 4 across the top, along with the basic letters like Q, E, R, X, F, all of that. And then my shifts here, my mouse button numbers here, and all of that. And other than that, you can literally just put your abilities on the bar, and then if you want to change the key bindings of them, you basically just scroll over and bind it to something. So for example, if I scroll over this and click V, it is now bound to V. If you decide that you do not want to use that binding anymore, you can just scroll over, once again, mouse over and press escape. It is really, really that easy. So that is the benefit to this, is that the entire setup process is so easy. I'm going to fill up all of these bars so that I can use that to kind of measure out my cast bar, which is the next thing we're going to set up. To do that, we're just going to type /quartz in the chat, and we're going to toggle the bar lock. And it works super similarly to... wow, I did that really well. So it saved my settings from my main, and as you can see, they've almost lined up perfectly with the settings that I've just made, which is cool. But these have obviously saved, which I did not know was the case. But what we can do is we can make a new profile, which should, I'm saying should because, okay, yes, it should reset everything. So then this is basically what it looks like when you start using quartz. Again, a little bit of personal preference with this one of whether you want to keep certain bars in certain areas. For example, for me, I get rid of the pet bar because I'm never going to look at it. Also, for some reason, when you disable it, it doesn't, yeah, it doesn't go away, but it is gone, I assure you. Like, it is gone. It just won't preview it for some strange reason. I won't look at the pet bar. I know I won't. Maybe that makes me a bad player or whatever. Same with target. Not target, focus. Again, I think focus maybe would be more helpful if you were like a healer or a tank or something like that, or, you know, someone who isn't a noob. But because I am a noob, I get rid of that too, because if there's too much clutter on my screen, I am going to get confused. I'm just the kind of person that needs things to be simple so I can really put my attention in the right areas at the right time, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm gonna keep it super simple. To get rid of these, I'm gonna say just to reload your UI. This is what I usually do. It is weird that it's like that. If you have a cast bar add-on that you use that you prefer and that, you know, go ahead and use that. But I do think quartz, other than, you know, that little issue, is pretty good. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to toggle your bar lock again, and this time obviously you're only going to have the ones that you have enabled, which are player and target. There are so many other things that you can do with all of these, by the way. So, like, you can include GCD timers and a bunch of other stuff. So definitely look into those as to what you personally would like. Most of them are enabled by default, so yeah, should be good with that. Next thing, you're just going to drag your player cast bar onto the middle of the bars. You're going to leave a tiny gap in between, and then it really is this simple. You're going to take the width and basically measure it out so that it's basically the same size as like the middle of one and the middle of the last one as well, so they're basically even. And then same with the target. I tend to just put it here. I like it here. I think it works out well, because then your eyes never have to stray far from what is being cast at any time. And that is really it. Like, it's actually that simple. I also put a bar down here. Sometimes I put two. I scale it to the size of my chat, which is about that. Although I think the padding is too much, so I'll probably make the padding 3 and then scale it back up a bit. Cool, done. If you need a second bar here, that's good too. I just use this for like my Hearthstone and profession buttons. And sometimes like mounts as well. We're gonna make a new profile for the video. We're gonna call it video with a smiley face. Cool. So the last thing we're gonna do, which you've probably already noticed, but I actually have a little black border around my, what are they called? Skills, I guess, and my action bars. So basically the way you're gonna do that is through using mask. I actually used to use like a purple reskin, which I'll show you how to do that. But basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna click on bartender 4 when you type /mask in chat, or go to your add-on section, of course. You're gonna literally just click bartender 4. Don't use any of these, because this basically allows you to change each of the like bars individually from one another. But I want them all to look the same. I want it all to be uniform. So I'm gonna click bartender 4. I'm gonna choose dream. There's a few different options. Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna enable the backdrop And for mine, what I do is I put it all the way on like the center of the color wheel, put it all the way to black, and then I kind of turn down the opacity. So if you can see, like if I put this on 100%, it's very dark. So I just turn it down to like literally here. So it's dark, but it's, you know, a little bit faded. So it's very aesthetically appealing. I just think it makes the whole thing come together so much better. It looks even better, obviously, when you have your full all 3 bars down there. But yeah, if you obviously want to use a different color, you can do that. I mean, it's not really my thing, but if it's your thing, then absolutely. The other thing that I guess would be a cool thing to do with this, which I think is a nice little touch, is, for example, if you're going to play, let's say, you know, this is a frost decay, so maybe I would want to go for like a frosty kind of color. That's another option. What I'd probably do if I was going to do that is like fiddle with it until I got a color that was a little bit less in your face, you know? But the idea is there. If I was playing on my main and I wanted to have like a shadow theme, I would make it like a dark purple, which is something I've done before. And I think that looks great too. But yeah, for me personally, I just keep it on this. The last thing we're going to go over is party frame. Those are a little more difficult to explain. As you can see, my friend Manav, who you probably might know from my stream, he's gonna help me out here. He's in a party with me to help me, which is very nice of him. So what we're gonna do is we're going to go to the game settings and interface. We're gonna go to raid profiles. Now, I don't like these standard party frames at all. I don't like it, and that's actually the reason that I used to use shadowed unit frames before switching back to Blizzard UI. I just don't like them. It's just not ideal. If you use mouse over macros when you're healing, they tend to really not work super well with these party frames. I don't know if that's just a me thing, but I just find that it's annoying to me that you can't tab, like, mouse over the portrait. You have to mouse over the bar. That annoys me because the bar is so tight. So yeah, it's not my thing. Anyway, we're gonna use this video profile and we're gonna make 2 separate profiles. So we're gonna do video and we're gonna do raid video. And the reason for this is because if you use the same profile for both parties, or like 5-man parties, and for raids, you're gonna basically find that either your party frames are too far away or your raid frames are, you know, in the middle of your screen and you can't see anything. Neither of those are ideal options, and that was the issue that I was kind of running into for a really long time. So I decided to figure out a way to handle that. And hopefully this helps you guys too. Maybe you have the same issue. So how you're going to do this is we're going to start with making our dungeon one. What we're going to do for that is we are going to make the dungeon frames look like raid frames. First and foremost, that is what we're going to do. Then in this section here, we are going to display incoming heals. Absolutely. We are going to display class colors. I really like having class colors on. I think it just helps a lot. For me personally, I like it. I take away the border. Not a huge fan of the border. I prefer it being off. That's really up to you. Then I'm going to make the frames a lot bigger. I'm gonna make them this big, max them out. And then what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna take the display health text and I'm changing it to percentage. This is just how it's done in most games, is through percentage. And I think if you're healing in particular, but any role it helps with, it really does help you kind of understand the position that your team is in, which is really helpful. And what you're going to do to make sure that this only activates on up to 5-player parties is you're going to auto activate on 2, 3, and 5. Make sure to click these. So click every single spec and every single thing. If you obviously want to have a specific spec for your tank and healer and whatever, then you can do that. But I use the same thing for everything. I'm not creative, okay? I don't think outside the box. Okay, and then what you're gonna do is you're gonna just click on your default raid menu here. You're gonna unlock this and you're gonna drag it straight under here. And that is literally it. Like, that's it. That is your party frames done. If you want them, you know, move them to where you want them. It's up to you. Now, if you want to ensure that when you're in a raid, that obviously, like, if you get a bunch of people, oh, I also tend to keep the groups together. Sorry, that's another thing I do. Yeah, but if you have a bunch of people in a party with where the frames are like this big, it's and they're dragged into the center. I mean, you're really going to lose a lot of visibility. So the way we're going to handle this, we're going to save our video frames. We got them. We're sorted. We're going to make a raid frames section, which is going to be almost the exact same settings, but we're going to make it 10, 15, 25, and 40 players is that it auto activates on those. Keep the groups together. It's really up to you whether you want horizontal or vertical groups. I'm not really sure which I like. I'm still experimenting with that, but it's really up to you. I like having the groups separate. I think it helps. You're going to make them bigger, not quite as big. You're going to kind of make them half and half rather than full size. And same thing, you're going to put your health percentage on. And that is it. Now, when you have a bunch of people in your party with you, you're not going to be stuck with frames in the middle of your screen. And they will auto-activate. Obviously, I don't have enough people to show you that, but yeah. I think that's pretty much it. I hope that this was in any way comprehensive. Probably not. If you have any questions, please do feel free to leave a comment below, or even any, you know, recommendations for how I could personally improve my my UI. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope this helped. I know that a lot of people have their own way of setting up their UI, but this is how I do mine. And I hope this helped in any shape or form. If you don't know me, my name's Chloe, or Day, or DeimosThea. I have a channel on Twitch, twitch.tv/DeimosThea. That will be linked down below. If you want to go check me out over there and follow my social media as well, I would appreciate that. That would be really cool. But otherwise, I am really hoping to branch out into YouTube and learn a little bit more about how this stuff will work. So I hope this helped. This is probably not the most fun video to start off with, but I guess we went there. Please do take care. Have a wonderful evening, or morning, or afternoon, or day. And I'll catch you soon. Bye.